I'd like to talk to queer atheist. Him in Illinois. He wants to talk about woo in the workplace and feeling pigeonholed into participation. So still talking about woo.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's Friday, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
Really quickly, I just wanted to hit up on the burning the sins at church camp. That just came up in conversation. I used to be a church camp counselor in my previous theist days, and there wasn't enough paper at the church camp for me to write masturbation and burn it on. So I ran out. I didn't know what else to write. That was pretty much it. What I was actually calling.
I'm sorry.
I know. What I was, I don't feel bad about it anymore. What I was calling about was, there's a tendency in the queer community, and I to subscribe to woo, things like, astrology, I see a lot, and just other kinds of like Reiki and things like that. And I have a hypothesis that it's due to a lack of organized religion being open to that. So they need like an outlet for spirituality or something, along those lines. Yeah. But I'm a skeptic. I work at a nonprofit for queer youth, and I'm trying to be a little circumspect here because I don't want this to get back to anybody. But we had a meeting a few years ago where they had, I don't know what you call them, like chakra cleanser, come in before the meeting to cleanse our chakras or something. And I've been a skeptic for a very long time and had to sit there while this woman cleansed my chakra. And I don't even know I'm sitting there going, what the fuck is a chakra? And why do you think my chakra needs to be cleansed? She was describing the various parts of the body and the colors that go with them. And I looked to my best friend who also works there. And I said, I guarantee you the genitals are going to be red. They're going to be red. And she said, now, if we move past your abdomen, we get to your genital region, and that's red. And I was like, God, I started laughing. I started laughing hysterically, and I got a lot of pushback from that. Like, why are you laughing at this woman? I said, well, it's patently like hilarious. I mean, I can't help it. It's so out there. And I don't mean to put anyone's beliefs down, but it was ridiculous. So I felt like I was put in a very awkward spot, and I wondered if you had any thoughts on that. There's a lot of woo out there, and I don't feel comfortable participating.
I think you made a really interesting point at the beginning where you mentioned that because you're in a community that is largely unaccepted by organized religion, but there still seems to be a kind of this general need to be spiritual or to be expressing yourself on that spiritual, or I would maybe call that more psychological or emotional level. It's really quite easy to like turn to those kind of things because they still give you some sort of sense of explanation or control. Like some of the same benefits that that religion gives people, but it's on a different scale, So I think that I may be different than others, but like I think that unless somebody is like making some sort of decision where they're like making poor choices or maybe putting themselves in harm's way because they're making life decisions based on their astrology or something like that. Like I think that there is a good portion of it that's pretty harmless, but obviously there's a line there, and so allowing people to kind of like freely like express it or like try it without maybe like encouraging them that it's like going to be something that's going to be worthwhile, but you can kind of like tell them like, oh, that's neat, that's kind of cool. I'm not really big into that. I don't really believe that, but like why do you think it's like a big deal? Maybe even using like kind of a gentle street epistemology kind of thing, if you're concerned that they're using it in like kind of an unhelpful way, or like as a crutch or some other thing that they would hold them back in some sort of way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love street epistemology. It's not the community aspect of it that bothers me, although I've been turned down on dates before because my sign is wrong. Which I don't know how that works. I don't know. It's more of the workplace thing that had bothered me, because I'm being paid by this nonprofit, and I know you're both Canadian, so I don't know what the story is with Canada taking over. I'm open to it. I can't get any worse than what America. But
so is your concern the fact that they're essentially bringing in like kind of a religious practice into this environment?
Correct. Yeah.
And kind of maybe unintentionally pushing it on people who aren't interested or think it's maybe harmful?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. It's a fine line, because I remember when I was first considered myself a skeptic, and I had a coworker who was talking about astrology and things like that, and I started like trying to debunk it and tell them like why it's based on an old system, and now those signs aren't even where they are, and they got really upset with me, and I had to take a step back and realize that like, oh, that's their belief system that I'm just like casually at work like shitting all over. But then on the other hand, it's like yeah, I get what you're saying, where it's like, this is a place of work. If somebody was constantly preaching to me about Jesus, I would be upset. So it's like, can we draw some lines? And for me, it was always like with that kind of stuff where I'd be like, that's not my jam, but you do you. And then I'd kind of move on from that after, getting past that angry stage.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, maybe think about maybe having a conversation with whoever you need to have the conversation with, that as harmless as these things can come across, they still kind of do fit in with like a religious framework. So there, you could possibly be making other people feel uncomfortable if you're in a community where it's supposed to be kind of a neutral space for people to come from all walks of life. As I think sometimes like those things, because they're kind of popular in like Hollywood and those kind of things, like they talk about them like they're pretty harmless, maybe even like a little silly, or something that could be good for community building, but they are still part of like a spiritual or even religious framework. Like a lot of these things have roots in some sort of a religion, so maybe a conversation about some sort of boundaries would be appropriate for you.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I just thought I'd get another take on it. But
I would be annoyed if that's what you're asking. I'd be annoyed if somebody tried to come clear my chakras.
I think
it's safe to be annoyed
and amused at the same time. It was so ridiculous, and I thought I could be spending my time masturbating. I don't know. I mean, I could be entirely. And not have to waste 20 minutes of my time getting something imaginary cleaned.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to clean something, clean my carpet.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're just sitting there uncomfortably while it happens too. It's like, I've had it too, where people like start praying for me when I didn't ask for it. And you're just like, you're standing there like, what do I do?
This is more for you than it is for me. But I'm just going to sit here.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, like, those are just
so
a few ideas. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that works out for you. I think if you do have a conversation with anybody and you feel like okay calling us back, I would actually like love to know what happens if you do talk to somebody, to see like how they took it, or if that conversation does come up, like was it a big deal? Was it something that they are like, oh yeah, no, that's fine, like we won't do those kind of things, because it is kind of religious-y to have in like a workplace or professional environment. I would love to hear back from you if you're open to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love you guys.
Okay,
So thank you
awesome.
again.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for calling in.
Have a great day.
Thank
You
you.
too.
You too. I almost wanted to say happy Halloween.
Yeah.
I don't know. Speaking of astrology, I do have a confession to make. On my way out of Christianity, I did take a little pit stop in the kind of the New Agey movement.
Yeah.
And I have a tattoo on my finger of my sign.
Nice.
And it's just funny. Like I have it, and I think it's right on my middle finger too, because I don't know if anybody can. Some people will tell me, I can tell that you are a Scorpio based on your personality. Other people are like whatever, surprised by it, but I keep it there. I could get it removed, but I keep it there as a reminder to not just fall so easily for things.
Yeah.
Because for
Do you have
me,
any? Oh, sorry.
For me, I read the astrology stuff, and I was like, this is it. This gave me all the answers I need about my personality and how to have good relationships. And and then I started to realize I could pick up a lot of things from different astrological signs, and they are all going to have something that I relate to.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And I don't believe in it anymore. I think there are a few things that I'm like, yeah, it's kind of weird. All Scorpios do maybe act this way, or all Leos maybe have something. But I think that you might as well just be describing human nature at that point. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What were you going to say? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I mean, a lot of us have our Christian tattoos still. I was lucky I didn't get any of those, but I started tattooing myself after I left the faith. But
so yeah, my main tattoo that I got was right after I deconstructed too, and apparently that's like a thing. A lot of people do it, especially if you were grew up in a religion or a denomination that was like kind of anti-tattoo. I would say I didn't even grow up like in that kind of a denomination, but I still felt like I wanted to go out and like commemorate the moment that I like was in charge of my own life, if that makes sense.
My sibling actually got a Christian tattoo when they were still a believer, and but they went for like the cheapest place they could find, which isn't what you want to do when you get a tattoo. But instead of giving them like ointments and stuff, they just gave them like a Wiccan spell to like make it heal faster. So.
And how did that work? Did they?
I mean, eventually it healed.
Yeah, see, there you go. Like eventually it will heal, and then that practitioner is going to say it's because of the spell I did. But maybe that just the natural process of washing it off after having a shower and putting lotion on it, it was actually going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.